G'day YouTube, Warbles on a lot here. Philip Adams on Late Night Live last night interviewed David Shapiro from the Dart Institute for Peace Studies and Conflict Resolution regarding the American government shutdown. I thought we might have a little bit of a listen.
Well, they might shut down the US government, but they can't shut down Shapiro or shut him up. He'll be with me in just a moment to discuss the shutdown and other dramatic developments. Then we welcome back to the program Guy Pearce, who's going to talk about the bipartisan surrender to the big bullies of big coal. And finally, the remarkable Art Spiegelman, creator of the Holocaust narrative Mouse, and his musical muse, Philip Johnson. But first of all, off to the US of A, or what's left of it. Bruce, the shutdown, if you please.
Oh, what, Philip, what a couple of days. Yes, the U.S. government is in large part shut down. Non-essential services, national parks, Statue of Liberty, all kinds of folks. 800,000 people altogether are on furlough. But the most interesting thing about this shutdown, which I think is going to go on for a little while, is that it's at its root is not really a fight between Republicans and Democrats, though it's being pitched as that. You know, the Republicans object to Obamacare, which went into effect this week, and want the president to delay it, and the Republicans in the House have said we're not going to vote for a budget. That's the official version. But the unofficial version is that this is actually a war within the Republican Party, within the Republican caucus in Congress, where you have a minority, and it really is a minority, of Tea Party Republicans, no more than 30 or 40, who are forcing this issue and forcing the Speaker, John Boehner, to do their bidding, even as a growing chorus of more moderate Republicans object. I mean, we had one Republican congressman from California yesterday describing the shutdown faction as lemmings in suicide vests, and other Republicans, not Democrats, are using words like moronic to describe this tactic. The reason this is so dug in, this issue, is that it's about supremacy within the Republican Party, and that makes this very different from the last shutdown we had 17 years ago when Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton went head-to-head in a similar way.
Keep going, mate. I'm enjoying your riff.
Well, you know, it is a challenging moment for the president. This should be a week of triumph, right? Obamacare is actually going into effect and shows so much promise of being popular that yesterday the websites that list what are called the healthcare exchanges, the mechanism that's been set up for uninsured people to look for affordable, low-cost insurance, the websites were overwhelmed and crashed, and a lot of people couldn't get on. Obama himself said millions more people than they expected and they anticipated went onto the system looking for help. So this would be a historic week under any circumstances. It becomes historic in a different way when you've got, as the president said, a faction of one party in one house of Congress, in one branch of government, refusing to pass a budget to allow the government to continue, well, just through the end of the fiscal year.
It's doubly astonishing when you consider that there have been two presidential elections in which healthcare was a centrepiece, and even a problematic Supreme Court has said that the issue is legal, and still the Republican rump, or the Tea Party rump, are waging this insane war.
Well, it's an interesting byproduct of what was supposed to be good government reform on a couple of levels. One is that that the old party boss system in most states has now fallen apart, and members of Congress are chosen, or candidates are chosen, by primaries. The Tea Party faction has shown great skill at winning primaries, especially in these sort of gerrymandered, overwhelmingly Republican districts. So Republicans fear the right rather than fearing a broader public opinion. That's one thing that's going on. And the other thing, less noted, is reforms within Congress have weakened the old leadership system. So in the last few years, Congress has done away with earmarks, the ability of members of Congress to hide gifts for their districts and their constituents in bills, all of which, those kinds of things, gave the Speaker of the House, gave the leadership a certain amount of clout against dissident members. Now, someone like John Boehner has fewer levers at his disposal, fewer ways of sitting on this highly small but highly organized faction. And the result is that it is, in fact, the Tea Party that is driving the car, has no interest in compromise. In fact, from their point of view, shutting down the government is a net plus because they believe it is a demonstration to the public that we don't really need big government, that the far-right Republican vision of a libertarian, small government, state-based U.S. is the way to go.
Okay, going back to that nice turn of phrase, lemmings with suicide vests, they are rushing, surely, to electoral catastrophe.
Well, this is what, not just people like you or me, but Republicans themselves are saying. You've had people like Saxby Chambliss, quite conservative Republican senator from Georgia, Ted King, a Republican congressman from Long Island, very senior, warning that this is leading toward electoral catastrophe.
John McCain as well, surely.
McCain as well. All of them are saying, essentially, are you nuts? But the party now is caught in a cycle of intramural fighting. There's going to be some procedural votes today and in the next couple of days in the House that will be very interesting because it is possible that some of the non-Tea Party Republicans will choose to side with the Democrats to move various pieces of the budget forward. That could indicate a revolt either against the Tea Party or against Speaker Boehner's leadership. And we really don't know where this is going to go. Right now, people are digging in for the fairly long haul. Yesterday, the Republicans tried to get out of the position they were in by proposing to fund only veterans and only national parks. But Obama has said, no, we need a budget. You can't do it this way. This is going to be dug in for a while.
Bruce, a brief comment, if you wouldn't mind, on the Obama-Rouhani phone call.
Well, this is a remarkable moment, and again, a historic, potentially historic week. You think back to the Jimmy Carter years. That's how far back the tensions between Iran and the U.S. have gone on, and they are central to American Middle East policy. If, in fact, Rouhani has the support of the mullahs, if in fact he is willing to do serious negotiation over nuclear power and nuclear weapons, if the U.S. is willing to consider lifting sanctions or changing its policy, the sort of psychological map of Middle East diplomacy will change in a profound way. It affects Syria. It affects the Palestinians in Israel. The ripples are quite significant. Of course, it may all fall apart, but it certainly is the first moment like this that we have seen in a generation when a president of the United States, president of Iran are actually able to speak to one another, even if the optics of a handshake at the UN last week were a bit too much for the Iranians to bear.
Bruce, I thank you very much for that. And
Okay, so that was Bruce Shapiro, not David Shapiro. I got it wrong. Next up will be this Guy Pearce talking about the back down to big coal. Ciao.